What's going on, everyone? The Lakers and the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner trade. This was a trade that almost happened in the offseason, right? I mean, right before Media Day, this was a deal that was supposed to get done, and Jeannie Buss ends up denying it and rejecting it, and the rest is history, right? And a big thing has always kind of been like, where would the Lakers be had they have done this trade? Now, the Lakers very likely would have been much better. They probably wouldn't be the 13th seed. You'd imagine that they'd be, probably in the 4 to 6 range. That was kind of like the consensus when this deal was even speculated and talked about. That was the idea. Okay, like, oh, the Lakers, with Buddy Hield and Myles Turner in the situation that they're in, they're probably, the somewhere in the 4 to 6 range, right? And there were questions. Many people believe lock, bona fide contender, like who's beating this team? Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. You add them to Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Boom, you got the best defensive front court in the league. Shot blocking, good luck trying to score. You got your dead eye shooter next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And then other people were like, no, like we'll be very good, but you're still missing a lot, right? You need more than just one shooter. You need more than we need perimeter defense. And like as the season progressed, you still saw like, okay, even if we get Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, yes, we would be better, but they wouldn't solve most of our holes, most of our problems, right? Like, yes, Myles Turner would help somewhat with the alleviation of Anthony Davis getting hurt, right? That would be huge. That would be important. He would also help with some rebounding. Buddy Hield, shooting, right? That would be great. Stretch the floor. Myles Turner can also shoot, so you get some shooting. Like they undoubtedly would have made the Lakers better, like much better. But how much better? Like, do you look at that team and go, man, they are a lock and like they are the best team in the league, or they have the potential to be one of the best teams in the league going forward? All of those things. Some people, again, like I said, may feel that way. And that's why this is the discussion. So let me know down in the comments. But when it comes to this deal, one of the things that I said for a long time was that I wasn't a big fan of this deal. And I'm glad that it got denied, right? Because what that deal would have entailed would have been Russell Westbrook and both unprotected first round picks for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. And there were still a lot of concerns with those two, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Myles Turner is injury prone. He's had a lot of injury history. He's been much better this year, but for the last few years, he's been very injury prone. On top of that, he's had trouble playing alongside other bigs. So would him and Anthony Davis work? He also wanted a max contract. I mean, look at the contract he got, but that was the word all season. Like he wants to go to Lakers, and Lakers are going to have to pay him a max contract. Not just that, but Myles Turner also would have had a little more negotiation power because you just traded for me. Are you really going to risk me just walking? Right? So he might have gotten more money had he gotten traded to Lakers. Buddy Hield, right? Concerns defensively. Like, yeah, he'd be great shooting wise, but how is it going to work on the defensive end? And just, you have to build that chemistry. You have to build that team. And it may have worked beautifully. And they may have been the best team in the league. But it also could have failed. And if it does fail and it doesn't work out, you're stuck. That's it. Right? You have no draft picks. You have nothing to like unload guys. You're stuck with these guys for the foreseeable future. And the Lakers were patient. And it sucks that we are in the position we are in. 13th seed, uphill battle to climb. But it just feels like, okay, we rode this wave, right? And it was a rough wave. And it just was a disaster. But we got to the end and it's like, okay, it's refreshing, right? And these four guys as like your core four going forward would be fantastic. Again, I definitely think we would be better. I definitely think we would be a lock playoff team. I don't think we'd be in the 13th seed. I don't think we'd be struggling for the playoffs, I think we'd be very likely, even with all the time that Anthony Davis missed, all the time LeBron missed, I think the likelihood of us at least being over 500 is very likely, right? Because I mean, we've been over that since that 2-10 start. Like that's the start is what killed us more than anything. And if you would have started with Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, you wouldn't have went 2-10. Even if it didn't work, like even if it was awkward and clunky and the fit wasn't great and all that stuff, you still wouldn't have started 2-10. I mean, this is just too much talent to start 2-10. But a big issue would have been like closing, right? Lakers were in so many tight games. Who closes for them? Right? That's a big thing that they've struggled with all season. Like Myles Turner isn't closing games for you. Like Buddy Hield isn't closing games for you. And I don't mean like being on the court. I mean actually like here's the ball, go close this game. Granted, you can make the argument, hey, if we had those guys, maybe most, if not all of those games wouldn't have been close games and we would have won in steady fashion. That very well could be the case either way too, right? You can look at it and you can make the argument either or, right? But I do think, again, the consensus is, okay, they would be better. But how much better would this team be? Because you got to take into account, right? They still would have needed a lot of other stuff. They still would have needed more shooting, still needed more perimeter defense. Anthony Davis and Myles Turner, can they step out on the perimeter? Sure. But do you really want them chasing around small wing type players all game? Probably not. You're probably getting killed. Yes, defensively in the interior, you'd probably be solid. Good luck trying to score down low against those guys. But perimeter has been our problem all year. Like we usually have dominated the paint. Dominated. And that's just with Anthony Davis. But we get killed on the perimeter. This wouldn't have solved that. But also, you end up going, and instead of getting Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, yes, you went through all the just turmoil, and you went through just the headache that this season has been. Look what it's led to. The patience of Rob Pelinka got you D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mo Bamba, and then Davon Reed, right? And that's not even counting Rui Hachimura. But to be fair, we probably could have gotten Rui Hachimura regardless because he didn't cost any first, right? So let's say we could have gotten Rui regardless. So you would have added Rui. So we would have had very likely Buddy Hield, Myles Turner, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Anthony Davis. But do the Lakers even go after Rui Hachimura, right? Do they look at it as like, well, we don't need... Like we have Anthony Davis and Myles Turner as our 4 and 5 and LeBron as our 3. Do they still go do the Rui trade? That's something else to keep in mind. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't get Rui. And I really like Rui. I think Rui is very good, very solid. I think he's going to be a huge piece for this team for the foreseeable future. Mo Bamba. I mean, if you look at his per 36, he's Myles Turner 2.0. Literally. I mean, the numbers are scary identical. But he's still very young. He's a little raw. He's going to need some development. He's going to need some time. But Mo Bamba can give you the impact, right? Davon Reed, he's probably not going to play much. But that guy, he's a 38% 3-and-D guy. And I mean, we've seen in the limited time that he's played, we've seen that the dude can play, right? And then on top of that, you get Beasley, who basically gives you everything that Buddy Hield gives you and more, in my opinion. Beasley is a high volume 3-point shooter that shoots a solid percentage. That's Buddy Hield. So you basically got your Buddy Hield. Jared Vanderbilt is going to provide a lot of the same things that Myles Turner is going to provide and more because he is a perimeter guy. And we saw Jared Vanderbilt make things very difficult for Brandon Ingram. Myles Turner isn't doing that, right? Who are you putting on Brandon Ingram? LeBron James, right? I don't know how well that would work. And that's not even counting. Like, if you just take Mo Bamba, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley, between those three, you get everything and more that you would have gotten for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. And now on top of that, you add D'Angelo Russell, who is is a better Buddy Hield, right? Because I mean, D'Lo can score at all three levels. His playmaking, all of the things that he provides, that third option, that third guy that can also take over games, hit clutch shots, has been in moments. Got to keep in mind, Buddy Hield has never been to the playoffs. So that's like, how does he look? How does he show up? You got so much bang for your buck that you wouldn't have gotten if you did the Pacers deal. And it didn't cost you 2 unprotected firsts. You ended up getting picks. I mean, literally, right? In the deal that sent that you got for Reed, right? You ended up getting 3 second-round picks. Well, you used 3 of them to go get Rui, so you basically broke even there, and then you gave up 1 for Mo Bamba. So you basically got 2 seconds on top of this, and you got Rui Hachimura, who you may not have gotten before. So instead of 2 guys that could, yes, absolutely make an impact, you were able to get 6. That, to me, that is much better. I would personally rather have this trade all day, right? Give me this deal all day. I really would. I would much rather have these 5 in my starting lineup with the depth that we have now on top of that, on top of these 5, than the 4 guys we had, and we're still trying to figure it out, right? And it's like, oh, we still don't have perimeter defense. We still don't have a bench. Like, we still are stuck with guys. Like, in my opinion, the patience paid off, right? Like, if you could go back in time and say, okay, we could do the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner deal now, or we know what the result is. We are the 13th seed, have an uphill battle to climb, but we end up landing D'Lo, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Mo Bamba, Davon Green or Reed, right? Okay, I would look at that and I would personally, and again, want to hear your thoughts, but personally, I would say, wait. That's fine, wait. And we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the Lakers get into the playoffs. Maybe they get into the playoffs and win the championship, right? Like, who knows? I'm not saying they will, but, this team already looks very good. Very good. And they've played 1 game together fully healthy. Like, just wait. They're only going to get better. But in general, like, I would look at that if I knew what, in hindsight, right? Like, if I could go back in time, I would still take this deal, knowing that we're going to be the 13th seed and we might not even make the playoffs this year and be in this exact same position. I would do that 10 times out of 10 times because of what you get. You get D'Lo, a third option that can also be a huge piece even after LeBron and AD leave, because he's still very young, 26. I mean, all these guys are younger too. Jared Vanderbilt's 23, Beasley's 26, D'Lo's 26, Mo Bamba's 24, Rui Hachimura just turned 25, right? Like, so you got younger, you got more depth, more production, and you did it for a quarter of the cost. Because not only did it cost you only 1 first, you were able to put protections on that first, that if it lands in those protections, it becomes a second, and you were able to get seconds in the deal. So instead of 2 players, you got 6, and you also got 2 second-round picks, and on top of that, it only cost you 1 first that you protected. I don't see a scenario where Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, as great as they are, I really like them as players. I don't see a scenario where that situation is better than the one we're in now. It just sucks because, we're not in the playoffs right now and it's this uphill battle and it's like, man, can we get there? It's just, we have so much ahead of us. But if we can, and even if we don't, it's a future play, right? Which is what Buddy Hield and Myles Turner would be, is a future play. But here's the difference. You could have these guys a lot longer than both Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. That is the difference too. And not just that, but you have these guys that you can grow and mold and evolve and build to the guys that you want them to be. Where like Myles Turner, he's not really, he's the guy that he is and always gonna be, right? Like he's not, how much better is he going to really get, right? I mean, he's what, 27, 28? Buddy Hield, right? Buddy Hield's 30. Like, is he all of a sudden going to what? Change his entire game? Probably not. You know what you're getting with them. Jared Vanderbilt at 23 years old is a better overall defender than both of them. And on top of that, if he develops even a decent shot, he's better than both of them combined, right? Like, I mean, seriously, he's 23 years old. You could evolve him and who knows where he's going to go, right? And the reason, and yes, because I'm sure somebody's going to hear that and go, he's not a better defender than Myles Turner. He absolutely is. There's more to defense than just shot blocking, right? Like there is. And Jared Vanderbilt's ability to guard essentially all 5 positions on a nightly basis and do it productively is huge. Like you're not putting Myles Turner on, a wing player. You're not putting him on Kevin Durant for an entire game. You can with Jared Vanderbilt. You're not putting Myles Turner on, Chris Paul all game. You could do that with Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like that's the difference. His versatility, his size, his length, his athleticism, like all those things. Like yes, he is a better defender overall, better defender. And on top of that, like if he becomes the shooter that you're hoping, watch out. Like if he can just, like I said, he doesn't even have to be. I'm not even talking about 40%, 30. Like, can he just get to like around league average to where teams actually have to respect him? He's gonna be terrifying. And then on top of that, again, you got D'Lo, 3-level scorer, can put the ball in the hoop, can be a number 1 guy, number 2 guy, number 3 guy, whatever you need him to be, and still get just 17 a night. And because he's done it he did it with the Nets and he's done it with the Warriors. He's a guy that could go get you 23 to 25. Every single night if you need him to, can average it. Neither of these two guys have averaged their career average is what D'Lo's is as like the 3rd guy. Pretty much everywhere, right? Like D'Lo's averaging what Buddy Hield and Myles Turner are averaging as the 3rd guy. And he just got there, right? Like, and on top of that, he's still averaging like 7 assists per game. And he's actually been very good defensively. So that in and of itself. Beasley still has room to grow. He's 4 or 5 years younger than Buddy Hield and is the same type of player. Like a guy that can shoot from anywhere, high volume shooter, but he's still young enough to where he hasn't even hit his prime yet. He still has room to grow. That is huge. Mo Bamba, 24 years old. Yes, again, he's a project. Yes, he's a little raw. But his per 36 is exactly. It's like scary how exact it is to Myles Turner. So he could be a guy that you could mold, that you could develop into somebody better than Myles Turner because he has more better natural tools. He's already a more better natural shooter than Myles Turner was at that age, right? Myles Turner definitely has evolved into a great 3-point shooter, but if you look at Myles Turner at 24 and Mo Bamba at 24, Myles Turner, yes, he could shoot, but it wasn't as nice and crisp and clean. And the percentage that Mo Bamba is shooting. Mo Bamba also is, 7 feet with like a 7'10" wingspan or something insane like that. Like it's ridiculous. So he's a guy that you can mold and grow and develop. And that's not even counting Rui Hachimura, right? Like that's my point. Like, I don't see a scenario where Buddy Hield and Myles Turner was better, right? Like, the only scenario would be like if you could go to the future, like if you could see both timelines and you're like, hey, if we got Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, we win the championship this year. But we never win a championship with like Vanderbilt, Russ, and Beasley, right? And all the other guys. If that was the case, then yeah, I'd be like, okay, well then, yeah, you should probably do the Pacers deal. But living in the world that we live in where we don't know what the outcome's going to be, you do the deal that we just did. I would 10 times out of 10 times, if I could go back in time, I would say we need to wait because we're going to get a much, much better deal for now and the foreseeable future that we could win a championship with, that makes us one of the better teams, that we're going to improve defensively. I mean, again, just on the surface, Buddy Hield and Myles Turner still leave almost all of our flaws. What were our biggest flaws, right? 3-point shooting, perimeter defense, rebounding, all of those things, right? Depth, like quality depth. And out of all of those things, Buddy Hield and Myles Turner solved the 3-point shooting. Like, Myles Turner isn't a great elite rebounder. Buddy Hield isn't like this great elite rebounder. They're both solid. They're both serviceable. They both would have helped with our rebounding. But again, you'd still have perimeter defense as an issue. You still would need more shooting. You'd still need, depth. You'd still need a lot of things. But you also would be salary capped, and you basically have these 4 guys and then vet minimum deals. That's it. But you look at the other deal with Vanderbilt, you have you got multiple high quality 3-point shooters. You got perimeter defense. You got 3-level scoring. You got playmaking. You got everything. You literally, if you could make a checklist of all the issues the Lakers have or had, this deal solves all of them. But the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner deal doesn't. It still leaves most, if not all. We didn't absolutely need a center, right? Like, if the roster before, out of all the positions we needed, center was the last position we needed, right? Like, we needed to upgrade our guard play. We needed to upgrade our size on the wing. We needed perimeter guys. We needed all of those things, right? Like, center, it was like, well, Anthony Davis is going to play center. You still have, Damian Jones, and you have Thomas Bryant, who was great for us, right? And you have Winning Gabriel for small ball. Like, the last thing we need is a center. And we were able to get everything we need and still get a center. Like, I just think, however you slice it, this is the better deal. I would take this deal 10 out of 10 times. But, as always, is a discussion. So, I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you glad that they were patient and that they waited and they ended up doing the Utah, the 3-team deal, and also getting Rui and everything? Or do you wish that they still did the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner deal? How do you feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.